Tonight, on First at 9 this Friday, the 11th of April 2025. Tariff war in full flow. China raises tariffs against the US to 125%. US tariffs against China now at 145%, the White House confirms.
China has to survive 18 months till the US midterm elections. Presidency has no midterm elections.
Navigating crossfire. US-China tariff war and volatile global economy has created uncertainty for Sri Lanka, warns the IMF. Advises sustained revenue mobilization and prudent budget execution. Mind your words. Bribery Commission summons former President Ranil Wickremesinghe on April 17th over his statements regarding the legal proceedings against MP Chamara Sampath. Former President requests a different date. The gavel strikes. Stay order suspending election preparations of 18 local government authorities, including the CMC, revoked. Rejected nominations to be re-accepted.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lanka Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dinu Sensodyne, then Langamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisang Karagatot? Api Parisang.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world, brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now in your top story tonight, China today increased tariffs against US imports to 125%, deepening the trade war between the world's leading economies. This came as the White House confirmed that total US tariffs against China now stands at a staggering 145%. Commenting on the situation, the International Monetary Fund said that the recent shock of the tariffs and the rapidly evolving global economic landscape are creating uncertainty for the Sri Lankan economy and urged the government to maintain sustained revenue mobilization efforts and prudent budget execution to preserve the island nation's limited fiscal space.
On the 2nd of April, which he named Liberation Day, US President Donald Trump announced new reciprocal tariffs to address what he described as a large and persistent US trade deficit. Under the new tariff scheme that came into effect on April 9th, a 10% levy was imposed on all imports into the United States, while additional tariffs were imposed against 57 countries based on their trade deficits with the US. Sri Lanka, which faced a 44% tariff rate, was among the 10 nations most affected by the Trump administration's new tariff policy. However, following requests by over 75 nations, Trump later paused the tariffs issued against several countries, including Sri Lanka, for 90 days, less than 24 hours after they came into effect. During this period, imports from these countries will only be subjected to a 10% universal baseline tariff. However, at the same time, Trump increased tariffs against China to 125%, deepening the trade war with the United States' closest competitor. Against this backdrop, the White House confirmed today that total US tariffs on Chinese imports now stands at 145%. This figure, in addition to the 125% tariffs, include the 20% tariffs Trump imposed on China on March 4th, citing allegations of Beijing's role in the fentanyl crisis. However, President Trump said he is willing to negotiate with China to bring the trade war to an end.
What happens with China? We would love to be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. All we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. In a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time, and I think we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries.
Meanwhile, China refused to back down against America's aggression and raised tariffs against US imports to 125% from the earlier 84%.
Recently, the United States has imposed tariffs on all its trading partners, including China, under various pretexts, which seriously violates international rules and fairness and justice. The Chinese government, along with relevant economies around the world, strongly condemns and firmly opposes this. Pressure and threats from the United States will not resolve the dispute. The US should return to fair dialogue. China has taken and will continue to take resolute countermeasures to safeguard its sovereignty, security and development interests.
This comes as Chinese President Xi Jinping prepares to embark on a diplomatic tour of Southeast Asia next week in a bid to strengthen trade relations. Against the backdrop of the trade war between the world's two largest economies, the price of a pound of 22-carat gold surged past the $3,200 per ounce mark today for the first time in history. Meanwhile, Japan's Nikkei, South Korea's Kospi, as well as Hong Kong and Australian stock indices all experienced declines. However, China's Shanghai stock market rose by 0.45%, while Taiwan's TAIEX gained 2.18%. Meanwhile, the US dollar depreciated against other currencies. In the global oil market, Brent and WTI prices are poised to register weekly declines of almost 3% and 2.5% respectively. Against this backdrop, the International Monetary Fund said today that the recent external shock of the tariffs and evolving developments are creating uncertainty for the Sri Lankan economy, which is still recovering from its own economic crisis. Issuing a statement following a visit to Colombo, which spanned from April 4th until today, the IMF's new mission chief for Sri Lanka, Evan Papayogiou, said that more time is needed to assess the impact of the tariffs and how its implications for Sri Lanka can be addressed within the contours of the island nation's IMF-supported program. He emphasized that against increased global uncertainty, sustained revenue mobilization efforts and prudent budget execution in line with Budget 2025 are critical to preserving Sri Lanka's limited fiscal space. The IMF mission chief added that discussions are continuing with the goal of reaching staff-level agreement in the near term to pave the way for the timely completion of the fourth review under Sri Lanka's Extended Fund Facility Programme and reaffirmed the global lenders' commitment to support the island nation at this uncertain time. Meanwhile, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe also commented on the latest developments regarding the US tariff policy.
President Trump has blinked. The US does not have the economic capacity to impose its will on the rest. These high reciprocal tariffs seeks to destroy the manufacturing capacity of Asia. Low-paying jobs in Asia, totaling over millions, will be affected. Public support will move towards China. Now China stands strong in our part of the world. This was the best time for China to hit back. China has to survive 18 months till the US midterm elections. President Xi has no midterm elections. Russia is also a winner from the US-China rivalry. Already, new proposals for world order has come out. The question we faced earlier was determining China's place in a US-made world order. Now we have to decide the place of US.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance. චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
And the Court of Appeal today revoked the previously imposed stay order that temporarily suspended all polling preparations of 18 local government institutions, including the Colombo Municipal Council. Along with the revocation of the stay order, the Court of Appeal bench, comprising Justices Muhammad Lafa Tahir and KP Fernando, directed the relevant officials to accept several nominations filed to contest the local government elections in several jurisdictions which were previously rejected. Several political parties and independent groups filed writ petitions during the first week of this month, challenging the decision of certain returning officers to reject nomination papers filed in view of the upcoming local government election. The nomination papers were rejected, citing the failure of applicants to file the papers on time. To prevent prejudice against litigants while the matter is being adjudicated, the Court of Appeal on the 7th of April issued a stay order preventing any further polling preparations of 18 local government jurisdictions, including the Colombo Municipal Council. Taking the matter up in court today, the Court of Appeal considered submissions made by the Attorney General and the Council for the petitioners and ordered the relevant returning officers to accept the nomination papers rejected across 18 local government jurisdictions. Furthermore, the Court of Appeal also revoked the stay order imposed on those 18 local government jurisdictions, including the Colombo Municipal Council. As the local government election draws closer each day, President Andrukumara Dissanayake vows that the NPP government will not let racial and ethnic violence erupt in the country again. Speaking at an NPP public rally in Ampara, the president claimed that projects under India's $2 billion pledge for the eastern province will commence next month.
Another NPP rally themed "Outcome is Clear, Victory is Ours" in view of the upcoming local government election was held in Akurepattu, Ampara today under the patronage of President Anura Disanayaka.
The National People's Power is the only government that treats every race equally in this country. Back in the day when other governments were in power, violent incidents were reported in Digana, Akurana and Alutgama. Religious sites were attacked. We guarantee that we will not let chaos erupt in this country again. Our movement is against other movements that contribute to racism. You all know about the Easter Sunday attacks that took place in our country. After those attacks, the Muslim community was bullied and shamed. They faced these harassments with discomfort. What did the Muslim people say at the time? They said that they informed the responsible authorities about the development of extremist groups and that the authorities did not take action regarding the matter. They stressed that the country is reaping the effects of lack of action. As a government, we remain firm on our decision to never let those incidents happen again. That's why the government exists. A government is not supposed to take action after something happens. There was a significant economic crisis and we have reduced it to a certain level. Foreign investors left our country and projects came to a halt. We took a decision to commence projects funded by Japan, India and China. During Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, the Indian government pledged $2 billion worth of assistance for the dairy, agriculture and fishing industries in the eastern province. We will commence those projects next month. Now, leader of the Samaga Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, claims that the cost of living is the only thing the government has improved. Addressing a meeting in Boralla, the opposition leader asserts that the SJB will never put politics over the people.
Another meeting of the Samaga Jana Balawegaya in view of the upcoming local government elections was held in Boralla yesterday under the patronage of the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
Has the incumbent government kept the promises they made? Pause for a moment and think about the hardships faced by the people today. The government promised to improve your standard of living, but the only thing that has improved is the cost of living. They said one lie after the other to secure political success. They deceived the public. The government has been rendered helpless over their inability to keep the promises they made. Do you think that this government or the previous ones for that matter feel the hardships faced by this community? We intend to build a new Colombo. We will always stand with the people. We do politics to serve the people. We will never put party politics over your needs. We are ready to empower this nation which struggles to keep an even pace. With that, here's a look at more opinions expressed in the political arena as the local government elections approach.
In order to complete this mission, in the local government polls on May 6th. Give the power of the grassroots to the NPP in order to make rural areas victorious.
When their claims are being proven to be idle boasts, the government has no recourse other than suppression. Considering that they recently passed the Proceeds of Crime Bill, now is the best time to recover the stolen assets in Uganda. If they can't do that, we can categorically say that they lied. The biggest thieves are teaching us how to apprehend thieves. They make statements in parliament as if they governed perfectly and handed over a heavenly country to us. This government will receive a public response that will hurt them during this election. This election is the beginning of the government's defeat. Government has to understand that the people are displeased with their 6-month record. We took over the country when it was in crisis. If the country hadn't fallen to that state, you wouldn't have handed over the country to us. What they are saying is that we haven't kept our promises. That's not true. We have. This election is not one where the government will fall. However, it will send a message to President Anura Disanayaka that people at the grassroots level are alert and that they will have to go home if they don't perform their duties. Last week, they were expecting that garment factories would be forced to close this week due to the US tariffs. We made a request in that regard and we received a 90-day period during which we can hold negotiations. The government took these diplomatic steps with a proper understanding. However, the opposition took this as an opportunity to claim that we can't govern. However, didn't we take over the country that they used to govern?
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
ඩයිබටසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
කැලනි වයර් කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. කැලනි ෆයර් ෂීල්ඩ් වයර්.
Welcome back. As Sri Lanka prepares to celebrate the Sinhala and Tamil New Year in 3 days, the National Transport Commission and Sri Lanka Railways implemented a special transport plan for passengers visiting their hometowns from Colombo. Sri Lanka Railways announced an addition of 31 train services under a special service, which will be in effect tomorrow. In the meantime, Verite Research noted that the cost of preparing a traditional kavili table has climbed by 7% this year in comparison to 2024.
Sri Lankans across the island are gearing up to celebrate the Sinhala and Tamil New Year in just 3 days. Those working in Colombo and its suburbs are expecting to commute to their hometowns outstation. Accordingly, a special long-distance transport plan introduced by the National Transport Commission and Sri Lanka Railways came into effect yesterday. The plan will be in effect until the 21st of April. Long queues were observed at the central bus stand, Colombo, and the private bus stand in Bastian Mawatha since the early hours of today. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Transport Board, Jeevaka Prasanna, engaged in an inspection of the Colombo Central Bus Stand this morning.
We have scheduled 500 buses in addition to those normally scheduled. Many people who are travelling to the Badulla district are from Hatton and Ballymadda. We have scheduled 2 buses to depart every 5 minutes, which will be in effect on a 24-hour basis.
Crowds of people expecting to travel to their hometowns were seen at the Makumbura Multimodal Centre from morning.
Last night we implemented a special bus service comprising 100 additional buses. We also expect to implement this service tomorrow. However, passengers who use this special bus service will be charged the price of a full ticket and a half ticket. It will be in service until the last few hours before the dawn of the inauspicious time preceding the New Year.
Meanwhile, the pilot program allowing card-based transactions at the Kottawa and Kadavath interchanges of the Southern Expressway commenced today. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Railways scheduled 31 additional train services in view of the festive season.
Special train services were scheduled to Anuradhapura, Kankasanture, Badulla, Galle and Beliatta in addition to the scheduled train services. These special train services will operate tomorrow as well. We have also scheduled train services for passengers returning to Colombo following the New Year celebrations, especially on the 18th, 19th and 20th of April.
In the meantime, many people are shopping ahead of welcoming the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. Heavy traffic congestions was observed at several areas across the island owing to the New Year shopping. Meanwhile, large crowds were seen at Pamunua and many other areas to purchase new clothes in light of the New Year traditions. Preparing a traditional kavili table comprising a variety of New Year sweetmeats is a tradition which Sri Lankans fulfill each year without fail. Though the kavili table is traditionally prepared with home-cooked sweetmeats, nowadays it has become normal to use store-bought sweetmeats. After conducting a research on data collected from open markets in Colombo and statistics obtained from the Department of Census and Statistics, Verite Research notes that the cost of preparing a traditional kavili table has climbed by 7% in 2025 compared to the year before.
Sri Lankans will now be able to pay off fines pertaining to motor traffic violations through the GovPay online payment platform launched earlier this year in February. The first traffic fine paid through the GovPay app was collected yesterday during a pilot project implemented along roads between Kurunegala and Anuradhapura.
The GovPay online payment platform tasked with driving the country towards a digitized society was launched on the 7th of February 2025. The platform seeks to ease the process of making payments to 28 major government institutions. Expanding its services, GovPay now enables users to pay fines for motor traffic violations through the platform. At the moment, fines pertaining to motor traffic violations can be paid off at post offices around the country. Upon paying the fine, the offender has to present the payment receipt to the relevant police station in order to retrieve his or her driver's license. Through the GovPay platform, the fine can be instantly paid off, and upon confirmation by the relevant traffic police officers, the license can be reclaimed by the motorist. How does the GovPay platform operate?
GovPay option එක select.
When the GovPay option is selected, the Sri Lanka police option will now be visible. Once it is selected, the traffic fine option will be displayed. When the traffic fine option is tapped on, a digital traffic fine form will be displayed. This form will have to be filled. The relevant details include the license plate number, the driver's license number, and the reference number on the traffic violation ticket. Then a drop-down menu of traffic offences will be displayed. The relevant traffic offence will have to be selected. Multiple offences can be selected. The fine, calculated accordingly, will be displayed automatically. Once the payment is made, a receipt of the transaction will be sent to the user. An SMS confirming the payment will be sent to the police officer instantly under the GovPay code. Then the offender can collect their driver's license and be on their way.
13 local banks have joined the platform. Payments can also be made by linking several mobile banking apps, including iPay, HelloPay, FreeMe and Genie. A pilot project enabling the instant payment of motor traffic fines through the GovPay application was implemented yesterday along roads between Kurunegala and Anuradhapura.
This is a pilot project. Only 11 police stations were used for the pilot project. Payment of traffic fines can be completed through GovPay only if you are charged with a traffic offence while travelling between Anuradhapura and Kurunegala. The first payment was made yesterday through the Bank of Ceylon app at Malsiripura. A gentleman paid the first fine and retrieved his licence. Depending on the success of the pilot project, the service will be expanded to the remaining 45 police divisions and 607 police stations. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption requests former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to appear before the Commission on the 17th of April. The request comes hot off the heels of the former President's remarks concerning the alleged misappropriation of funds by parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake.
Parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake was arrested and held in remand custody on the 27th of March over alleged misappropriation of funds during his tenure as the Chief Minister of the Uva province in 2016. Although MP Dasanayake was granted bail by the Colombo Magistrates Court on the 8th of April, the Badulla Magistrates Court ordered his detention in remand custody. The Badulla Magistrates Court followed a legal complaint which accused MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake of causing a loss to the government when he allegedly withdrew a fixed deposit of the Uva Provincial Council prematurely. In a special statement, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out yesterday that MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake withdrew the fixed deposit pursuant to a circular issued by the Good Governance government set up in 2015.
When I was the Prime Minister during former President Maithripala Sirisena's tenure, the Secretary to the Treasury, with my knowledge, issued a circular noting that it was prohibited to place the funds of provincial councils in deposit accounts. The funds provided by the central government to provincial councils, as well as those received through other means, must be expended within a year, or else they must be returned to the Treasury or Finance Ministry of the provincial council. It was in accordance with this circular that the pertinent funds were withdrawn from the deposit account. A commission adjudicated on this matter, but it did not find that MP Chamara Sampath had committed a wrongdoing.
The former president's statement caught the attention of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The Commission claims that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe is privy to information pertaining to the bank account in question. Furthermore, the Commission claims that Ranil Wickremesinghe involved himself in the series of events under investigation at a certain point in time. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption noted these observations in a letter issued to the former president. Furthermore, the Bribery Commission requested the former president to appear before the Commission on the 17th of April. The Commission also requested the former president to submit relevant documents in his possession to verify the facts already stated by him in this regard. The Commission further asserts that if former President Ranil Wickremesinghe fails to appear before the Commission without a valid justification, the Commission will be bound to act according to Section 126 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 9 of 2023. In response to the letter issued by the Bribery Commission, the former President claims that Commission's announcement came before 18 hours lapsed since his statement. Through a statement issued today, the former President highlighted that the Bribery Commission's swift action was taken within a mere 3 hours years and that it is tantamount to a world record. The former president claims that the commission has never acted in such manner before. Nevertheless, the former president claims that he and his attorneys will not be in Colombo during the new year. Accordingly, Ranil Wickremesinghe requested a different date to appear before the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption.
Meanwhile, speaking at the Committee on Public Finance, the chairman of the Finance Commission, Sumit Tabesinghe, emphasized that MP Chamara Sampath's case is a result of abuse of power and has no connection to the commission.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's remarks concerning MP Chamara Sampath's case were also discussed at the Committee on Public Finance yesterday.
Chamara Sampath කියද දැන් මේකත් ෆයිනෑන්ස් කමිෂන් එකේ ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන එකක් නේද
නෑ ෆයිනෑන්ස් කමිෂන්
ඒකේ එතන ඒගොල්ලෝ කියලා තියෙන ෆයිනෑන්ස් කමිෂන් එකෙන් ලයින් මිනිස්ටර් එකෙන් දුන්න අවසරයකට ලියු මෙන්ඩිස්ලා පාවිච්චි කරපු ෆන්ඩ් එකක් ලක්ෂ 10ක
නෑ අපේ ලේකම් මට්ටමට අනුමැතියන් ලබා දීමක් ෆයිනෑන්ස් කමිෂන් එකෙන් කරන්නේ නැහැ
නෑ ෆයිනෑන්ස් කමිෂන් නෙමෙයි ෆයිනෑන්ස් සෙක්‍රටරිගෙන් ලැබුණ එකක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කළා
තාම පැහැදිලිව අපේ රෝල් එක පළාත් සභාවලට අවශ්‍ය සම්පත් නිර්දේශ කිරීමත් නිර්දේශ කරපු සම්පත් ප්‍රූඩන්ට්ලි වියදම් වෙනවාද කියන එකට මැන්ඩේට් එකේ නැහැ නමුත් අපි ඒකට we ventured into that. ඔයගේ වැඩ ඇත්තටම මේ බලයේ තියෙන මේ කාලේ ප්‍රධාන ලේකම්තුමා ප්‍රධාන අමාත්‍යතුමා ඒගොල්ලන්ටනේ බලයේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කාලේ මේ ඒ බලයේ මිස්යුස් කිරීමක් වෙලා තියෙන. ඒකට අපේ මුදල් කොමිෂන් සභාව මට්ටමින් සම්බන්ධ වීමක් වෙලා නැහැ.
Welcome back. In your business news, the Ceylon Electricity Board announced the signing of power purchase agreements for the 350 megawatt Sahasranavi combined cycle power plant, which is set to commence construction soon. A statement issued by the CEB revealed that the power plant will be built, owned and operated by Sahasranavi Limited, with ownership transferring to the CEB after 25 years. The power plant is set to deliver electricity to the national grid within 30 months in open cycle operations, transitioning to full combined cycle operations after an additional 12 months. The Committee on Public Enterprises of Parliament expressed displeasure over oversight issues and poor planning at the construction of a remote apron and taxiways of parts of the Bandaranaike International Airport's development project during a field investigation conducted on the 9th of April. At the inspection, the COP observed that the project has been completed despite several weaknesses and practical challenges identified at the planning stage. The committee decided to reconvene with officials from the Airport and Aviation Services Limited in the near future to continue discussions on the matter. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.